All right, guys, we're live here. Got a special guest. I've been waiting for this for a long time. As I said before, I don't want to fanboy out, but one of the most respected guys to me, and he's a Baitman because I watch Bassmaster live, and this dude points out some stuff that not everybody notices. Mark Zona, welcome to Baitman Live.
Baitman, good to be with you, my friend. You and I have known each other for a minute or two, and able to put this together. So, and it's cool to actually be in my. It's probably why we might have a little choppy service, but I'm actually in the barn working on boat stuff tonight. So it's good timing to do this.
Yeah, I wish I had a boat to do boat stuff with, but I'm boatless for a while. But how much tackle do you got in that boat?
Well, I got quite a bit. I actually had Kevin. I have my boat, and I have my children's boat that I use as a backup. And thank God that I've had that this year. I mean, it's very similar to if I don't have my boat, I can't get work done. And I really dinged myself, my crew, and my boat up at Lake Ontario. So I'm transferring a bunch of tackle from one boat to the other, but I got a lot of tackle, man. I do. If I turn this way,
Holy smokes! What's all that brown stuff? Those furry things hanging up there?
You'll have to ask my wife. She's the one that kills the majority of all the deer in this family. But in all honesty, what's weird is, and it's more of a pain in the butt, but is I pack generally, Kevin. I pack per species. If I'm going on a smallmouth shoot, I know exactly how I'll pack the boat. If I'm going on a largemouth shoot, the hardest where I weigh the most is when I go to places like New York. If I go to places like Minnesota, that's when I have the kitchen sink in the boat and in the truck. So I would gamble that it's in the thousands of pounds when I'm on a largemouth smallmouth shoot.
Yeah. So when maybe I was trying to share some stuff. I'm sorry, but how much different do you prepare? Like if you're going to say I'm going to go to Gunnersville versus go to like St. Clair. If you're going to a largemouth fishery versus a smallmouth fishery, is your tackle prep different, or you like me just like I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff in there
No,
and everything to eat?
no, it's it's very finite. It's weird. I have store, whether they're mafia, but however I have my stuff packed. Generally, I'm able to pack like Texas. The way I pack for Texas is totally different than the way I'm going to pack for Alabama.
Right.
Alabama is totally different than how I'm going to pack for Missouri. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of know when I'm going to need my artillery, and I know when I'm going to need my finesse stuff. And sometimes it's weird. Sometimes it's a case of both. I taped on Ontario a month ago, and it was a case of both, where it was not just your typical. Because man, I'm like every one of your listeners, man. Drop shot shows suck. It just suck.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've said nothing bad. I'm not bashing Bass or any of the other tours, but man, staring at people's butt cracks while they're staring at a graph, and I don't even mean live scope. Back in the day,
Absolutely.
guys were drop shotting and video gaming on the LS-32 Lowrance. It's just not super exciting.
It is painful to be honest with you.
But if you're doing it, it's fun.
To me, the way to make it more interesting, and I've seen comments here and there, but I've said this for 2 years of live scope or any forward-facing sonar. Now that there's Mega Live, and then you've got Lowrance Live, every single one of them. Here's where I'm at. Look, a dude staring at his screen. The only person that cares about it is that dude staring at his screen.
Right.
Somebody made a really interesting comment to me the other day. because and look, I've caught myself doing it, taping a Zona show, Kevin, is when you're staring at your forward-facing sonar, okay, when you're staring at your screen and your camera guy is talking to you, it's almost like when you're trying to talk to somebody that's on a cell phone, or they're texting. They're really not paying any damn attention to you. You know what I'm saying?
Right, or they're in the chat and YouTube while they're doing a live stream. Yeah, I got you.
There you go. Exactly what you're doing right here, Kevin. Where you at?
I'm here.
Where you at? So the it's so weird we're talking about this because I'll call out Corey Johnston right now. Oh. Corey Johnston, to me, is probably one of the best smallmouth fishermen that I have ever shared a boat with. His brother is the same thing. They are in the top 4 of smallmouth anglers that I have ever been. I've been with some really good ones.
That's pretty strong.
And we were in the boat together, and we were taping on Lake Ontario, and we were drop shotting out in 27 foot of water, and I'll never forget this. We're catching them, great big ones. Look at Josh Hurting. What's up to you, bud? And I looked at Corey, and I said, dude, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. We were in a certain part of Lake Ontario that I know, that he knows. There may not be 6.5 pounders up shallow, but there's going to be a gazillion 4 to 5 pounders that will bite anything you throw at them power fishing wise. And what I've really learned is from a television standpoint, it's good to have in the boat, but man, whether it's a tournament, you can't. I'm stuttering on this because I'll tell you the hardest.
You need a drink,
right?
Oh, you got one, yeah.
The hardest tournament I've ever called in my life was a couple tournaments ago with Tommy, and it was the Lake Oahe tournament where every single person was doing the exact same thing. Now, if we could have all as viewers been able to see the screen that they're looking at, what are they seeing? What are they throwing at? To me, that's a game changer.
Right. So, like Dustin Wright here says, why don't they put live scope on live TV where we can see it?
That was the point I was going to. Here's the problem with that, Dustin. Number one, I absolutely agree because to me, remember the World Series of Poker when they had the card camera?
Yes, yeah.
That's what this is.
You see guys make mistakes and you see guys make good calls.
Yes. That's what this is. But dude, here's what I can tell you. You know this, Kevin. There are a lot of anglers right now that are exponentially better than other anglers.
Yep.
On all the tours.
Right.
They are so good. There are guys that used to fish the bank, young guys, that their whole career now is
offshore. It's
offshore, forward-facing sonar. I got news, dude. You know this. You've been around all those knuckleheads your whole life. They ain't gonna want that stuff on camera unless they are getting paid.
Right. So I'll be honest. I'm kind of jealous of the younger generation. They're just got their bass boats, however they got them. I don't care if their mom and dad paid for them or they work 80 hours a week and they got the scope. Because when I learned to fish offshore, it was line up that satellite tower over there with that window, and then side image and the down imaging came out. And man, a lot of people got really sneaky here on the Tennessee River. And you know, you fish a BFL after you graph the fish or whatnot, you turned your electronics off at the console. That way, your co-angler don't see something pop up on down imaging, boop, throw out there and catch one.
I do what you just said right there, and then side imaging went to combination of mapping,
then 360 imaging
to 360 to where I do believe right now though, and it feels this way at least to me and some of the dudes I run with, that I do think that this is the biggest turning point in technology that we will, I think, see in our lifetime. I really believe that. And here's why I say that, Kev, is is granted, okay, you talk about the Tennessee River, I could talk about Erie or Ontario or Huron, whatever it is generally there's always been a threshold, okay? What I'm saying by a threshold is, yeah, you and I have heard of tournaments being won in 30, 40, 50 feet of water here and there, or fish suspended in a tree in 150 feet of water. But the thing that I know, that I have seen with my own eyes in the last 24 hours, in the last 2 years, is there is a biomass of fish that live out in the middle of our lakes.
In no man's land.
In no man's land. And here's why I like, look, the technology from an entertainment standpoint as of right now sucks. It sucks to watch that. But what we are also learning right now is everything that we have read, everything that we have watched, since you and I have been on Earth, has always been to about a 35 to 40 foot deep threshold, correct?
Right. Yep. Yeah, you're right.
There are things being learned right now, or not being told right now, that we've never, ever known about bass. Largemouth,
yeah,
smallmouth, spotted bass. And that, to me, that is the part about it that I think is really actually cool.
Yeah. So what I learned, it's crazy you talk about that. So I went to Texas with Ben Milliken and those guys 2 years ago, just smashed their lights out.
Perfect.
Fishing deep on Kentucky Lake, my home lake here. If I'm fishing, if the boat's sitting in 30 and I'm throwing a 25, that's offshore. That's actually pretty deep for us.
Right.
Dude, we're sitting in 54, 55, right, catching them in 40 off the tops of trees. Big uns.
Yeah.
And you're seeing them. But if that technology is not around, does Ben go out there and see these fish by accident? No. You go, no, that's too deep. This ain't Havasu or Bullard's Bar in California. And just, so I come back here, I'm telling my fishing partner about this, and he's like, oh, I don't believe it. And he's a hammerman. He starts doing a little exploring. He said, dude,
they live out there.
They live out there just roaming around. But it makes sense, because how many times, especially in the fall, could you be driving down a lake and birds are diving, they're all in the river channel, who knows how deep it is, and you're like, that's stripes or whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, it ain't always stripes now.
What's funny is I think and I'll relate to a lake here in Michigan that we're catching them now over 40, 50, 60, 70 feet of water. Big ones, smallmouth, largemouth, mixed, living together, mixed with pike, mixed with lake trout. And I believe this, that these fish, okay, if there's a point, okay, what we have done as anglers, we always, or a river channel bar, we fish what we thought was the juice, which it is the juice. When those fish decide it is time to come up and feed on that juice, they do that. The rest of the time that I have seen recently, they're not far from the juice.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like a quarter mile away, maybe a half mile away, but they are over nothing. They're over nothing. They're out there. And here's the other funny, I don't know how they group, like you talk about Milliken and what they did, is what I've seen with my eyes in Michigan with big, our big largemouth in Michigan is a 5-pounder. That's what it is.
That's big to me.
There ain't a lot of them, Kev. There's not a lot of them. But we're catching a lot of those big ones now. And what's funny is if you're out catching suspended fish in 50, 60, 70 feet of water, if you find a giant school, there's a tendency, my partner Vandy, he's my camera boat driver, been my camera boat driver and my tournament partner for 30 years. We've been doing when you find a giant school, they're generally jacks. They're 2 to 3 pounders. when you find one or two, those are the wolves. Mm-hmm.
It's the meat. I mean,
But
to be honest, go ahead.
I think right now, just to, I guess, put a bow on that whole thing, because you and I could probably talk about that.
Yeah, we could do like a big time live scope. The questions are coming in. I'm not trying to randy anybody into the live scope debate, but we started a TV show and now here we are. But I think it's an important topic, and we can address it again at a later time, as long as I can find you for another extra couple hours.
I'd be happy to talk about it.
Yeah, but the last point. So you've been to Lake X. You've been to the special place.
Yeah.
Well, what me and Mr. Menendez have really found out is where the big ones are living, out in the middle of nowhere. They're out in the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely.
Ever fishing. Yeah, just sitting over 24 foot of water, 10 foot down. Like,
yes.
That's where you're idling off, So
yes,
it's pretty crazy. I'm going to see if I can get some questions real quick. I don't want to beat on the live scope topic too much. All right, here's one. Adam Miller asks, do we think the fishing pressure over recent years has pushed them out and down that far, or have they always been there?
I think they've always been there. Absolutely. What was his name?
His name was Adam. Adam Miller.
Adam. That's a darn good question. I would say for the most part, has pressure pushed fish off of structure at time? Yeah, well, heck yes. I'll just go. You can attest that also to shallow cover and structure. You beat on them enough, man. Hey, man, they're like deer. They'll run, right?
Yeah.
I think a small percentage of that, yes. But I think generally speaking, Adam, and I'm 99.9, at least from what I've seen in the Midwest so far, they've always been out there. Whether they're on bluegill, whether they're on smelt, whatever they want to put in their mouth, they're going to where that food source is at.
Right.
Away from a boat dock. Look, man. Boat docks in the Midwest are the best way to win. Used to be the best way to win tournaments, and on some lakes still are, because forage swims by. Bluegill are up shallow on our lakes for 4 months. The fish, they get up there. Now they get throttled. It gets tougher and tougher and tougher. I really, what I've seen, and I'll put a bow on this, I think they've always been there.
Yeah. I just think we as fishermen are hard-headed. It's either that's too deep or there's nothing around or whatnot. But I kind of relate live scope to the trail camera insurgence of deer hunting. Some people don't agree with it or whatnot. It's going to happen no matter what. You can't make everybody happy. But what deer hunters started to realize, especially people who manage farms and all that, there's a lot bigger deer walking around than they realize.
Right.
And they're in places that they don't expect. You know what I mean?
Let me throw one more to put a bow on that. On forward-facing sonar. And I truly think this is going to happen because I'm seeing it already. Mother Nature takes care of her babies.
Yes.
Now look, right now, they're dumb to our tricks because we haven't messed with them out there, okay? I've already seen it, dude. They get real smart really fast. Yeah. And the more people that go out there and do that daily, day in, day out, you are going to see a lot of the old school ways of catching them start to go up because it's getting ignored.
Yeah. So a guy like my buddy Mark, he's an old school fisherman. Not gonna lie. Love Mark to death. He's an old school fisherman. Those tournaments where that forward facing deal really doesn't play, you see Mark do pretty good.
Absolutely.
And Mark does the forward facing sonar. He's trying to learn it. I've seen him do it and he knows, but just technique wise and how he's always pounding on them, that's been his strength. A big spinner bait, a Texas rig, a flipping stick, a jerk bait, which, he's going to get that dialed in, but those guys, there's still a place for them. Look, the Elite Series or whatever pro tour in, the top of the tier, they're going to win without it, or they're going to win with it. So that's how I feel.
And I also think you're going to see scopers. You're still gonna see shallow water guy when it runs its course. You're gonna see a forward-facing sonar angler, to me, will be just like a flipper. Look, Bill Lowen is gonna go flipping no matter what.
Absolutely.
Period. And you're still going to see Bill Lowen do very well. Certain years, you're gonna see forward-facing sonar. And look, there are guys now that will, for the rest of their career, and this would suck to know that this is all you're gonna do is stare at a screen for the rest of your career. Because I think you end up, when you do that, I think you end up losing that sixth sense of, dude, I'm going shallow, or dude, I'm pulling the plug and I'm gonna go punch mats. Instead of, I've got to keep looking at this screen. Right. And you can already look at certain anglers that had, to me, the most incredible sixth sense. You don't see them doing those things anymore. Now, granted, you see them win big titles, you see them win tournaments, but you don't quite see the sixth sense come out anymore, just because this is all they're going to do the rest of their career. And I believe that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's just the evolution in fishing. I mean, even, you look at back in the day, I'm not as old as you, no offense, but I mean,
Hey, I'm not as old as Menendez.
No, dude, he's looking like Santa. He shaved his beard the other day. Dude, I remember when my dad first got a 7-foot graphite rod, 7 foot. And I was using his Larry Nixon Team Daiwa rod, that old school worm rod. That thing's badass.
Yes, it was.
But it was only like 6'6".
Yes.
And he bought a Bass Pro Bionic Blade 7-footer. And I was like, holy cow, a 7-foot rod? And now most guys don't even use 7-footers. I feel old school. I throw them all the time. But guys, gotta be a 7.4, 7.11.
What was the old tapering one? The Shimano Bassmaster. Remember that thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Dude, I love old school tackle, man. That's my damn. Speaking of, you got any old school tackle, any old school tricks you ever pull out your sleeve?
Yeah.
Any old school striking.
Look, man, and Striking knows this, dude. I'm sponsored by Striking, and the major, the great thing about Striking is with the catalog of what they make with soft plastics and especially jigs and hard baits, I'm able to do my job and not worry about it. But in this tackle barn is how I grew up.
Right.
There are things in here that either they meant a lot to me as a kid. One of the biggest. Look, for
God,
here's
your
what
hair is wonderful.
Well, thank you. I'm
going to show you something. Do you remember when you did the video or the clip where they tapered the middle and the Home Alone guy?
Prior tuck.
Hold on. This is a natural one.
Oh my gosh, it is. Hey, I let Seth do that. Kevin, I let Seth do that 2 days before Father's Day dinner, and we were going out to a restaurant. I walked in the door, and the scorpion woman, Karen, literally about took my head off.
My gosh.
Here, I'm going to walk you real quick.
Uh-oh, we're going on a walk with Zona.
Hold on, real quick. So we're going to come by. All jigs are down here, okay? All my soft plastics are right here. And generally, I'll go through, in a season of taping, I'll go through, a wall and a half of that all the way. Trocar hooks right here. But I always keep this little area right here. And this little area, it's strange. I was looking at this the other day. There's 3 baits on here. There is an old wiggle wart right there that Aaron Martens gave it to me.
That is freaking awesome.
right there. Aaron gave me that. But if you're a smallmouth addict from back in the day, there was like 3 ways we caught them. On an old hula grub, you remember people still actually use them, a tube, or the old sinking salmon brown trout rebels. They actually sink to 5 feet. A
lot of people only think they made a floating version of that bait.
Right. And that sinking one, us idiots, this is before there was suspending baits, we bought like 5,000 of those things, and I still got 7 of them laying around. So, yeah, hold on. I actually got...
Man, I got Zona excited. See, I told you he's the Baitman of ESPN Bassmaster Live.
So, these are most of these baits right here. Like, our baits are retired. This one right here, we caught a 45-pound stringer for 5 on Falcon. This one right here caught a 9-pounder on Choke Canyon. And then the other ones are old. You know the name Greg Mangus? He's a smallmouth wizard.
I may not, but there's probably some viewers in the stream that do.
Those are his old hand-carved crankbaits he used to carve for me from back in the day. So, and then I'll take you back to my children's area right here, where anything that works in the barn that I can't find, I just go back to that area right there, and I find whatever I'm looking for. So
yeah. Junior started that. He's kind of into fishing, but he'll come in here and nosy around, and I'm like, "Where's this at?" And he's like, "Oh, I put it in my box." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, and what's funny is they both moved to California. Yet, hold on, let me show you one other thing. This is when you're in love with your wife. This is what I bought her. This is what I bought her for her birthday right there. A crossbow. Yes.
Dude, that is awesome.
That screams love.
It does. Dude, I know it's completely off subject. It's crazy how popular crossbows have gotten in the last 5-6 years. Like, when I was in sporting goods, if someone come in wanting a crossbow, it was like, yeah, we'll have to special order that.
Yeah. You notice the crossbows in my barn, though, right? It's I kind of bought it for her so I can have it. And I got this sweet hatchet right here.
Yeah. I'm telling wifey, I'm going to buy you that new Lew's Hyper Mag. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But to go back on man, I still, when I'm not taping shows, I still tinker around with new stuff. I mean, dude, I'm a mag draft fool. You know what I mean?
Really?
I'm a Hazadong Shad fool.
Yeah.
I
got any old XPS swim baits?
Oh my gosh, you're absolutely dude, you're kidding me. You did not just ask me that.
I did.
Watch this. Hold on.
Please don't show me like a whole box full.
Oh no, I got, no joke, 1.
Damn, and that's the best color.
I know it is, right? I got 1.
Yeah, so my buddies remade that. My buddy Jared Caesar. You know Jared.
I know Jared.
Some mutual friends of us. They remade it. So I don't know if you've seen that. That's the Babe right there. That's some of that special gravedigger color.
I noticed Jared didn't send me one of those. That's amazing.
I'll have to send him a nasty little text then. I talked to him today. But, dude, so that was, I sent you a message with a plan of questions, but I just go by see my pants. But that's like that one bait that I've always tried to find in the wild, and I've never been able to find because I guess it was massively discontinued because it was only available in Bass Pro Shops. You couldn't go down to Uncle Fred's Tackle Mart and get one. You had to get in a Bass Pro Shop.
Right.
And the thing is, you bought 10 of them. Only even Kennedy would say this. Only one of them swam right. It's just
yes.
But those are like holy grails to me.
Yeah, that one right there stays right. Like I literally pointed at that to the children and said, "Do not show that. You don't throw that swim bait." There's like a half dozen baits in here. They know them. There's like a half dozen baits that they cannot throw. That they know don't touch that thing. Like this is terrible what I'm going to tell you. So, oh gosh, I fished with Aaron so much, and Aaron exponentially This is gonna sound strange. I was just spending
No,
time.
nothing will sound strange on my stream. I promise you.
You'll like this. I just spent a bunch of time alone, goofing around on the water with Taku Ito.
Oh, dude, I'd love to get him on a stream. I don't know how I can do with the language barrier, but
I taught him all kinds of new things.
good.
But here's something that's I said this to Vandy, is the connection that I saw with Taku and Aaron from totally different countries. I always, gosh, yeah, I miss the time that I had with Aaron, because him and I were tackle addicts together. Like,
Dude, I never got to meet Aaron, but one time, I've told this story on stream. Me and Ben Parker, Magnum Spoon, Ben Parker, good buddies. And Ben said, "You want to see something cool? We'll go talk to Aaron, and I want you to ask him the difference between 4-pound and 6-pound fluorocarbon drop shot." So I went over there, introduced myself, asked him 20 minutes later. I mean, he's like, "I can go longer if you want to." And I'm like, "No, we're good, bud." Super nice guy, but man.
He was finite.
Yes, I didn't have a personal connection with him, but he is me, but a way better fisherman. He's just into the tackle, into the nuances. Does this rattle? If I jerk my rod this way, what does the bait do? And that's the stuff I live for. I just can't catch them very good.
Kevin, I'll give you two different Aaron stories that are. He was awesome, dude. I remember one time he got in my boat, and this is kind of when that transition was coming from fluoro to really from mono to fluoro to straight fluoro to braid. He got in my boat, and I had a half dozen rods rigged up with braid. He's like, bro, that braid is that you cannot put that on a spinning reel. It's the worst crap ever. And the very next time we went fishing together, he fished it. The very next time we went fishing together, he's like, "Bro, that braid is the best stuff I've ever used." The other one was, you'll love this. You were talking about Gunnersville, right? Is one of the things that I loved about Aaron, and I think about it to this day, and I took those times for granted, is when he would get in my boat, he would go through all of my tackle, especially my smallmouth tackle, and look at it and tweak it and work on it and stuff like that. And there was a certain show we did, has nothing to do with smallmouth. We were down on Lake Gunnersville, and it was just following one of those what are those frog tournaments where there's like 3,700 boats, right?
Yeah, like Spro or Snag Proof.
Yeah. And naturally, great planning, Z. Great planning, Aaron. We go the day after they're there to get ready, shoot a frog show. Oh. Not good. So we're in the mouth of Seabold, right? We're in the mouth of Seabold.
I know where you at.
Sun's coming up. Trolling motor goes down. Camera goes up. And it looks like Halloween week where somebody had raked every single mat. And I'm like, whoa. These mats look like they have been fished, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going, and no bites. And Aaron, he did this so many, we taped so many shows together, Kevin, but he would always get locked in on something, and he would be very repetitive, talking about, man, I need to be throwing this. And I stutter, but he locked in, I need to be throwing a black buzzbait. Locked in. So he gets down in the bottom of the boat, we're taping, and he's tweaking, and I throw out. And when Aaron would tweak, dude, Aaron would tweak for a half hour. Well, that's
right.
It
ain't like he's just half-assed, and he's got to get it perfect.
No. So he's got I'll never forget it. He's got a black buzzbait in his hand, right? So he's getting it ready. About halfway through that, boosh! I catch one, and it's 4 pounds. Okay? He's like, oh God. And he's still working on it, but I could see he was focused on that fish. Well, he's still going. I show the fish to the camera and So now he is 20 minutes into getting this buzzbait perfect, right? 20 minutes. Gets on the deck of the boat. I throw out. He throws out. Boosh! As God is my witness. He reels the buzzbait in after one cast and he goes, oh, the hell with this buzzbait. Throws it down.
Yeah, that's great. That is great. Yeah, that, like I said, I'm not on his level, but I've experienced that where I've been out rigging up a swim bait with my fishing partner. He always used to give me so much shit. He'd be like, you didn't quit throwing that swim bait. Just pick up that worm. You're the best worm fisherman. Just pick up a jig and I'll be tinkering. And I remember I fished the Triton Owners Tournament and we were like in third place on the first day. 3 fish limit, heyday, Kentucky Lake. So everybody's catching them. I didn't catch but one fish the first day. It wasn't even a keeper. So I'm rigging up the old bass tricks. I'm super gluing it and getting it straight. And he said, would you put that damn swim bait down? And I said, dude, I'm trying to catch a big one. And he said, he literally said, I'm going to whip your ass if you don't put that. You've been working on it for 15 minutes. He said, rig up a freaking plum ringworm and fish this brush pile. So first cast, I throw in there. I'm kind of mad. I'm just, not saying much. 5.5. And he said, I told you. He said you get laser focused on something like that and you totally forget about, dude, I've caught.
Yes.
And that's
I'll tell you, there was a whole Zona show season, an entire season. Okay. And look, you do, I do, your viewers do. You have a preconceived notion every time you hook up your boat or you jump in your buddy's boat. You have a preconceived notion. You obviously do that because you tie certain things on. Right?
Exactly.
I always went, and when I first started with Strike King 97 years ago, they would have a wish list. Hey, this show. They would have a wish list of 12 to 15 lures. Hey, but inevitably, if you try to, this, you have been a cameraman with some of the best anglers ever. If you try to force feed them, generally the show's gonna suck.
It has to be a real special bite, or the guys went and fished the day before and really on them.
And when I started with this is it, and I don't talk about this. About this. So I said, guys, I will loosely live by the wish list, but inevitably I'm going to throw what they're going to bite the best to make the best product. I mean, that's at the end of the day, you want the best product for Zona Show selfishly, but you want the best product for the rest of your partners or sponsors. And you can take the cameras away. You want the best product if you're just going fishing.
Exactly.
So at the end of the season, out of 13 shows, no BS, 10 of them ended up a half-ounce structure jig show.
Yeah. Dude, it's like, I know how it is. Mark's was Strike King, and it was just the other day, he said, hey, we're going to make a cricket show. New tungsten thunder cricket.
Right.
And I'm thinking, they better bite this thing because he only brought 4 rods and they're all tied on. It worked out.
Right.
And that's a bad little bait.
It is.
It's the new tungsten thunder cricket. You guys get on Tackle Warehouse and go pre-order some. There's something different about it. It works. I mean, I caught a big one on it. So
you know what was interesting? I just taped a show with the tungsten thunder cricket. Just taped one for smallmouth, and what's interesting about that bait is being a small look. Generally, the places I fish for smallmouth, it's the faster you can burn it, the better you're going to catch them. Is what was cool about it is that I learned quickly, and granted, largemouth is a little slower, a little more, especially in grass, pop, 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 boom. Smallmouth, it's
got to keep moving. Yeah,
you're going. What I liked most about it when I figured out the correct trailer, which was a Rage Menace with where I took one of the tails off, doing it parallel instead of tails flat, is I could smoke that thing and it would not blow out of the water.
Yeah, it
and
does
when
not blow out.
When they hit it like a saltwater fish.
Yeah, I mean, in my limited time after filming Mark, I noticed. I told him, I said, "Dude, you can burn this thing. It's not blowing out." I mean, I love a jackhammer, and jackhammers won buku amount of money, but there's always a time and a place, and for both. And I'll tell you, the trailer Mark was using, he was taking he loves the cutter worm.
Yes.
So he would take the cutter worm and cut it.
Little.
Yeah. So he'd put the cutter on the back of there. So essentially, it's like the tail of a minnow scrub. It's a little bit longer.
The other thing that I've seen with that and is a little bit deeper water. I like the Rage minnow because it doesn't hold a lot of water. It's
right.
Obviously very skinny, but in really, really, really shallow stuff, which look, man, that's where a bladed jig shines, is to keep that bait up in the water column. For big largemouth, I'm talking up in the water column, either a rage bug, anything that's got some sort of bulk that will keep that bait up a little bit so it's not bogging down. I've really messed with trailers a lot.
Yeah, I saw Mark likes to put the game hog on the back.
Yeah,
it's just really, but he said it really keeps it up. When those fish are in real shallow water, he said it keeps it up, and because it's bulky, he says a lot of times it helps me get through cover without hanging up. But yeah, so that's one thing I noticed. I've got a few questions here. I want to make sure I get these because these are questions from channel members here. They're a member of my channel. They pay like $9 a month. I forget. Sean Law, he's been with my channel for years. Does Zona still do shows with any MLF guys, or do you even keep up with them?
I don't.
Fair enough. Quick answer. All right.
No, that is not true. Sean, that is not true. Do I here's one of the problems. A very big challenge, Sean, is our schedule is different from their schedule. So a lot of the times when I'm taping, no, don't get me wrong, there is some overlapping too, I've noticed. I went there too. Hey, you
won't be doing any donkey rig shows on Malax, will you?
I don't know. I stick with one rod. Hey, Sean, why is Sean walking? Sean, you know what I mean?
He asked you a question.
Look, man, I miss the hell out of Ayler, and I miss a lot. Granted, the other guys that I tape shows with repetitively were Aaron, Hackney. The problem is with the guys that are over. We live on a different schedule now.
Right.
We got different business going on. I miss the heck out of most of them. But no, I don't. Heck, I taped one with Ott Defoe in his aluminum boat, a year and a half ago. So
that was an awesome show, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm a big Ott Defoe fan.
I am too. But so the answer is no. I would love to tape with those guys when all the schedules and stars line up.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand that too. It's not an anti-MLF or anything. It's just a scheduling conflict, and that happens to me too. Because number one, I work a full-time job, and Matty Robertson a call. He's been bugging me to get some stuff, and then when I'm off, he's gone demo derbying somewhere, or Mark needs something and it doesn't work out. But when you get multiple guys that are like, "Hey, let's do something," it's really hard to make it work, and it's just nothing against anybody. Except maybe VanDam. I'm not sure how you handle that guy.
Dude, here's what's strange is since the departure, we've only been in a boat together one day. That's in how many years has that been? No, it's been two days. But that's scary when you're counting how many days. I mean, dude, we used to fish together every 10 days for 25 years. Look, man, I hate to say it, that's some of the collateral damage that happened from all that. Is we live in different worlds now. I work over here, he works over there. Generally, the times that I see him now, it's at a media event, it's at ICAST, it's at places where we're working. That's been a really sucky part of all of that stuff. I can't stand it, but it is what it is. Life moves on. But the last time we fished together was it's so strange, dude. He's Kevin VanDam, right?
Yeah, he's the man.
He made this comment to me. He said, there's been like 3 really, really big schools of bass that I have found. Look, man, I've said this on my show, Kevin. He is a hard customer to shop for when he's the guest on your show, right? But I brought him to 3 different schools of fish. 2 of them are smallmouth, 1 of them was largemouth. And I looked at him last time we were on St. Clair, and I said, hey, look, Jack, you're eventually going to have your own fishing show. You're finding the next school because I'm done shopping for these groceries.
Yeah. Here's a good question. We'll get off that one. Brian Head, my good friend Brian, I hadn't seen him in a while. He says, in the last 10 years, what's the biggest industry bait addition that's affected fishing in a positive way? Is it the jackhammer, mag draft? What would it be? All right, I get it. So what's the one or 2 baits that's really changed the tournament scene, bass fishing scene in the last 10 years? I got one in my mind. Actually, like a guy having multiple.
Yeah, you can certainly say you could say a bladed jig. You can say that. I really think from whether it's a finesse paddle tail, a 325 to a 375. Look, man, every single human being that's fishing in a tournament somewhere has a small compact. That turned into a weightless stick bait, for the last, I'd say 5 to 7 years. Gosh, I got to think about that. But it's strange because that's also that's a very, very broad. That's a very broad question because it's very regionalized.
Right.
You know what I mean? I could say things for smallmouth. I could say things. Hell, there was a 6-year span where it was a 6XD, a 6XD, a 6XD, and a 6XD.
And then we got a 10XD.
Then you got a 10XD, but that's an interesting question that I would have to. Gosh, I'd have to think about that because every single year, it's been all the way. I will tell you, really, to me, one bait that changed the profile of soft plastics was a sweet beaver.
You damn right.
A sweet beaver, and what reaction did with that to how you can even say that about a Senko.
Yep.
But you know what I mean? But what a sweet beaver has done throughout the entire industry has made companies not only knock it off, which you knew that would happen, but it's also made more compact, precise, soft plastics. And the other thing that I noticed, it really in the last 12 years is you cannot get by with crap out of the package. You cannot do it. You cannot do that anymore. And I think here's what I will say. I think a lot of the Japanese quality that came through, and Kevin, help me out, probably the late 90s.
Yeah, kind of after Lucky Craft really kind of hit the scene, and that Lucky Craft Pro staff back in the day, dude, hammers. So that also changed a lot of things too. They got the JDM market landed. Then you had a select group of guys that were the Mega Bass guys. I think Randy Blockett was one of the first Mega Bass guys.
Yes.
And then Aaron comes on, really blows it up. He's you know, he's their face, and they get new followers, and people are saying, man, it's $24. Yeah, it's $24. But then you open that, the old 110s came in that coffin like case. You had to pop them open.
Right.
They had the straight eyes that guys pay big money for. But you look at it and go,
because that made a difference.
Yeah, it doesn't. But they open them up and they go, holy smokes, this ain't my grandpa's Rogue.
Right.
And they go throw it, and it just spins perfect. You see the flash, and then one bites, and you go, oh, got to buy some of them.
And now, I think that made Kevin. I think it made a lot of companies raise the quality of. Look, man, if you look at fishing lures 30 years ago to where they are now,
it's
and I
unreal.
still have what's that?
It's unreal. I'm looking at old Bagleys and up here, and it's
amazing. It's amazing.
Everybody stepped their game up, and I'm sponsored by 6 Cents or whatever you want to call it. I just say I'm just a dude they send baits to, but there wasn't really a 6 Cents around 15, 20 years ago that made a high quality looking bait that you could buy for 10 or $12. It was either you're buying a Rogue for a jerk bait or you're paying $25 for a Megabass. Now, Strike King, their jerk baits are really good, very underrated in my opinion. Not just saying that. I fish them quite a bit. I've seen them catch fish. Everyone's kind of catching up. Now, there is a lot of that, hey, this looks really good. Let's go get this made and put our name on it. That's some things I don't like, but
that's always going
to happen
long after we're gone.
And it's not just fishing either. And so sometimes I get tunnel vision, and I'm like, I don't like the industry because they're copying this guy's swim bait and this guy's. But you go to Walmart and you go to the clothing section, all that's a copy of something that's sold for $50 at the Buckle, and that's copying that something that somebody wears in a custom shop in LA. So that's just the nature of the beast. But
yes.
If I'm a beginning bass fisherman, agree or disagree, this is probably one of the best times to go out to your local Bass Pro Academy, log on to Tackle Warehouse. You can spend $50. You can get good quality stuff from many different companies that catches fish. You had to have an infomercial to sell some tackle. Now you don't. You have a good looking bait. You have the right people representing your company. People are going to catch fish.
And to tack onto that is, and this is why I think a lot of younger anglers, younger professional anglers especially, come into the Elite Series and are so instantly good. Look, Kevin, you know this, man. We all used to have to read generally a tournament report 30 to 60 days after a tournament. There was no
took a lot of dumps reading Bassmaster. I'm not gonna lie.
So, and you would read that. Ooh, hey, I want to go learn how to flip. Ooh, I want to go learn how to throw a square bill. And here's what, and our process was: you had to go out, buy one, then go to the lake. Well, now what's cool about a lot of it is
go watch Tactical Bassing.
Dude, you can learn stuff in literally 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Go out and do it.
Yep.
That is staggering to me.
You can go out there like me and can't figure out how to tie a damn connection knot and pull up Brent Ayler on YouTube. It says how to tie RP knot, and I go, okay, I got it. Hey, check that out. That looks good. I learned that back in my day.
I learned how to braid the fluoro knots watching many, many, many Chicago Bears football games in the wintertime.
Yeah, let's see if we got some more good questions. Here's a strange one, but it's from my buddy Byron over at Missile Baits. He's kind of strange anyway. It says, ask Zona why he refuses to fish with Aaron Lewis.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to go just with schedules right now. Just with schedule. Hey, listen.
That's a perfect answer.
I have taken very good care the two times that Aaron has wanted to go fishing. One of them was we had Bassmaster going on. It would be really hard for me to say to Chase Anderson and Mike McInnes, hey, I'm going fishing with the lead singer of Stained. Davey's going to, although it does sound like a badass idea to try that.
It does. I do know that I do know my buddy Byron. He's got Aaron hooked on these guys. Those big glides. I just got this in the mail from Byron. I spent stupid amount of money on this thing.
And I got to tell you something about, what's weird about Aaron Lewis is he is obviously, he is a tackle junkie, like every one of us, right? And literally it has certain things that he does down to a finite, like the smallest detail is why they bit that. And I respect that, because that's an artist and a musician that he sings to pay for his fishing habit. Trust me, I see the things he buys, like you just showed me, amongst other things, but our day on the boat will be real soon. We were honestly talking about going to Detroit River next Tuesday, so.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
Here's a good
on and
question.
off the water.
On and off the water, I hear you. Duffy's Fishing channel member here. Thank you, Duffy, for being a member. He says, has Z ever fished the UP inland lakes? I don't know if that's abbreviation.
Yes, Upper Peninsula.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Ain't no peninsulas around me, so I don't ever see that.
There has been Zona shows shot in the Upper Peninsula and inland lakes. I don't name them. There's a certain reason I don't name lakes on my show. I name as many as I can that can sustain pressure. A St. Clair, in Ontario, in Erie, a Gunnerswood. I mean, anywhere I go that is a popular. But there's a lot of places and a lot of people get. It's funny. A lot of viewers get really pissed off at me if I'm fishing a 2,000 or 3,000 acre lake and I won't name it. You cannot do that. Yeah. They're public. They are public. The reason I don't name them is they cannot sustain 5,000 boats showing up and throttling it for the next 10 years, or else it's done.
You got a lot more people watching the Zona's Awesome Fishing Show than if I go out on, well, not Kentucky Lake because we ain't got any bass anymore. If I go on to public water and catch, a big limit, 10 guys might go out there. But Zona goes out there on a 3,000 acre reservoir. It's going to get some pressure.
I taped one with little Matty Robertson on his home lake.
Oh, I know.
And I said, Matt, I said, I got to be honest with you. I said, I'm not naming this lake. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, dude, you do not want that to, and that's just, it's knowing.
I've already got DMs said, do you know where Zona and Matt were fishing on Lake Z? And I'm like, I'm not going to, I said, I'm not going to blow Matt's spots out. That's all.
Right. So, and here's the thing. If it's a place that could sustain pressure of people coming and having fun, I'll name it. If it's a place that I don't feel, or it's a place maybe I grew up on, I'm not gonna give that out. I've seen the adverse effects of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And it's something that, Matt Allen and Tim Little talk about is, blowing a lake up. Not necessarily on purpose, but because of social media and everything. And look, I helped do it with Ben Milliken, O.H. Ivy, put that sucker on the map. Ben did, and then Casey comes in, and multiple, and Josh Jones, he was in here. Josh, excellent fisher.
Yes.
Fisherman. And people were seeing that, dude, there's more boats on Ivy in the last 2 years than I think it's seen in a decade.
Yes.
And it's still cranking them out, but how long can it sustain that?
That's a blessing and a curse, because here's what's cool. Here's what's cool about what Ben did and what Josh has done, documenting that, is they showed something that, number one, has not been done. They also blew up an area, a lake that, granted, I'm sure every single Texas angler probably not that happy about that.
No.
But you also have to look at the positives.
Dude, it put so much money into that town that was not coming in.
That's a good thing. But again, when you do that and you blow a lake up, I've done it to probably 3 or 4 lakes. There's also afterwards, there's a real guilty feeling about it, a very guilty feeling from the fish aspect, so again, it's a very double-edged sword.
Yep. All right, I'm going to try to get some speed questions. I said we're at an hour. I said I'd keep you hour to hour 15 minutes. All right, name a non-Strike King bait you're a fan of?
Mag draft. Absolutely.
No.
A mag draft. I'm gonna give you two. I'm
Okay.
a big fan of a mag draft, a 6-inch mag draft. I'm a big fan of a Hasdong shad. Big.
Really?
Big. Yes. I think a baby Z2, a baby Z2 and a Hasdong shad are the two finest smallmouth when they're on forage. Okay, when they're on forage and they're on just a bait fish forage, I think those are the two baddest drop shot baits that there. I just said drop shots fishing sucks on TV.
It's fun to do. It's just
Fun
not
to do.
fun to watch. It's like baseball. I love baseball. I could play it, and I watch it on TV, and I'm like, click.
Right.
All right, here we go. Here's a question from Darius King. Just lives across Lake Barkley from me. Mark, what's your favorite lake in Michigan? You can't say St. Clair.
That's so easy because I'm there all the time because there's nobody that goes. I go to Huron a lot. Huron is an ass kicker. It beats you up really, really, really bad. And you can go to Huron, and Kevin, I'm dead serious. You can go to Huron and not catch a bass for a week, not a bite. But when you find them, you find hundreds, and there's nobody with you.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
That is nice. Let me give you a quick Huron story. Can I give you one?
Okay, yeah. I mean,
All
if you want to keep going, whatever. I didn't want to keep
let me
it
give
that
you
long.
one
Try
real
to
quick.
respect the man.
So this is back in the day. I'm getting ready for a Zona show, and I got the flu horrible. And VanDam's coming from an Angler of the Year tournament up in Escanaba. I got the flu terrible, and no joke, I'm just out on Huron in waves, aimlessly drifting, just sitting with a tube in my hand, just dragging a tube. I mean, I'm dragging it for. I have to imagine I'm into 15 miles of dragging a tube, right? Not catching crab. And I catch like a 2-pounder. And I turn around, God is my witness. And I see a half mile of birds, seagulls diving, seabirds, grebes, diving. And I was like, wow. What's going on there? So I ease over, and it was probably a quarter mile away from right when I hooked that little 2-pounder. And I swear to you, there was thousands. I told Rick Klum this story. There was so many smallmouth. They weren't very deep. They were like 9 to 13 feet of water, and they would come up and they would look at the head of the trolling motor, like a foot under it, right? Anyway, long story short, VanDam shows up. And it's so cool. VanDam shows up. We got the cameras rolling. And I said, hey, I'm just getting up to the waypoint. And he says, dude, you got like 3 miles of waypoints. I said, that's how many are here, right?
Yeah.
Swear to you. He throws a jerkbait out. He backlashes. First cast of the show, right?
Yeah.
And he's scrambling. I said, hey, bro, don't worry. As I'm saying this to him, he's picking it out, and it goes boosh as it was on the surface, and I'm like, "Oh God, they're home, my friend." Right?
Yeah.
It was a cool deal. It was a school that was there for 2 weeks, and I'm looking at a picture on my wall of I took my kids up there 2 days after VanDam was there. Yeah, I have not seen a school that big since then. It was a big one.
I miss the days of those big offshore schools with largemouth.
I know.
You know what's happened to my lake, and it's tough.
It's brutal.
I need to get venture up in smallmouth country.
You're welcome anytime. It's the best. It's the best.
Now I do love catching them on spinnerbait at night here. I'll tell you my KVD story. So Mike Otten, used to be my
Yep.
boss.
Yep.
Him and VanDam were best friends, all that.
Yep.
KVD takes a vacation, rents a houseboat, Kentucky Dam Marina, and I think this was after an elite event. They ended up renting a boat. So Sherry there and the kids, man, they were so little. They're like my son's age now. So Mike says, "Hey, come. Why don't you come eat dinner with me and Kevin or whatnot?" I said, "Well, I'm going night fishing." He said, "Well, just bring the boat up there." So, all right, whatever. I call Mike and he tells me where the houseboat is. I said, "Well, that's good because that's really close to one of the spots I was going to fish." And so I pull up. VanDam, he's just super nice. He's like, "You going night fishing?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I got something for you." And he pulls out like 4 or 5 Strike King night spinner baits, but they're not the ones you get out of the package. He says, "I went ahead and Mike told me you're going to fish tonight, and I've tuned these up, and I've trimmed the skirt here, and this one's got this blade on it and this." And he's just giving me a 411 rundown on how to fish, and I'm like, "Man, this dude, is he going to go in the boat?" And he turns around and said, "Hey, Sherry, can I go with him for like an hour to fish?" And she kind of looked at him like, "Really, Kevin?"
Oh, yeah.
He didn't go with me, but I felt like, as a 19-year-old kid, that was the most awesome
Heck
thing in the
yes,
world.
man.
But
Yeah.
there's a lot of great people in the industry, and I just want to say you're one of them, and I appreciate that. I'm going to hit you with a few questions, guys. I know I've missed some questions and stuff tonight. I don't want to keep Mark too long. Let's see here if I can find a good one. Someone says, "Let's get Bo Stevens, my buddy, says, let's get Zona to a UT Vols game." Well,
Don't you ever threaten me? Don't ever threaten me with tailgating.
Yeah, it's a good tailgate. We'll have to see if we can get better on the field, but
I'd be all in for that. I'm obviously this time of year. I'm at a war of 3 worlds. I'm at a war of bass fishing, hunting, and football right now. So it's a little bit overstimulating just because I have bad ADD.
I got some questions, and I hate to avoid you guys ones, but I had some good ones I had messaged Mark, and one of them I want to talk real quick. This was a really good one. I remember. What is one of your favorite bass fisheries that Bassmaster hasn't went to or they haven't went back to?
Well, gosh, man, and it's probably because, I love South Texas, dude. South Texas to me is where I'm at for now. 2 or 3 months of in fact, my hunting buddies, Joe Durr, are watching right now. That's where we all hook up in the wintertime. But I love being on a body of water that you have a legitimate shot at a 40 to 50 pound stringer.
Absolutely.
Right. I miss the days of Falcon. There's obvious reasons. The last time I went there, Falcon wasn't too nice.
It had its downswing.
No, I mean the fishing was great. It was just there was weird stuff.
Yeah.
That part of it. So anyway, but a place that I would love to see 80 to 100 bow tournament, but the infrastructure's not really there for it. Is Choke Canyon. Choke Canyon's a phenomenal. And I know my Texas friends are like, "Dude, stop talking right now. Do not say that stuff."
That's okay. I went there the whole OHIV deal. We all went to Choke Canyon and got hit with the worst cold front in history. Yeah, and dude, I mean, couldn't catch a cold.
I know.
The highlight of Choke Canyon was me finding rage crawls at the boat ramp.
I just left, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I would definitely say some of the lakes that the lakes down, even Amistad. I have so many memories. Because that's a lot, back in the Derek Remitz days and of the, some of the first Elite Series tournaments that went on when it first kind of started. I'm really big into Southwest Texas. I love it down there. I love the people. And I think the lakes are I think they're truly the best in the country.
Yeah, I like it there too. I mean, I've got to fish Fork with Kelly Jordan back in the heyday.
Right.
Filming a TV show before swim baits were cool, and the dude's throwing a storm walleye shiner for Classic Patterns. He literally, I filmed it, I edited it. I think he caught like 60 bass over 6 pounds on
That's
2
so
spots.
awesome. That's so awesome.
On an old Mitchell reel. It's only like a 7-foot, medium heavy, and just crushing them.
I am excited. I am, and this is not. Look, man, I don't beat the drum. I'm excited about 2 tournaments that we have next year on the Elite Series. And I'm not. Look, man, there's certain tournaments. You can ask my bosses. There's certain tournaments I do not enjoy calling.
Right.
And I'm vocal. I've been kicked out of not kicked out of meetings, but not invited back to meetings.
I hope they do. I hope they keep inviting you back.
I'm really excited about Seminole as early as we're fishing it next year.
Mega.
It'll be I fished there that time of year. It'll be a very unique tournament, and I'm also excited about Santee Cooper being later, being a post-spawning event. Right. I'm excited about that.
Those are 2 that I looked at. And, discussing with my friends and text groups, I said Seminole could be an absolute slugfest.
Yes.
And then Santee Cooper, different time of year. And I'll say it. I know some people don't like it, but I like the Sabine River tournament. Just because it's a different fishery, crazy stuff happens. But for a lot of guys that are the weekend guy or don't live,
it's grinding, man. It's grinder.
It's a grinder, but dude, there's a lot of guys in my chat and streams. They fish rivers. They fish tidal stuff. They don't have big reservoirs.
Here's what's very strange about what you just said is from my job side of it, Sabine River tournaments are hard to cover. They're hard because of cell service is always an issue. But what's interesting about what you just said is, it's just so weird, is I've called so many 100-pound tournaments with Tommy throughout 20 years. The ones we talk about as being our favorite when they're done, sometimes not when we're doing it, always at the top of the list are the toughest ones, Kevin. That is no joke.
Yeah.
Because what you just said, there's a lot of unknowns in those tournaments and what I like about those is
it evens that playing field.
Yes, and generally those tournaments go down to the last damn hour, and I like that.
Yep. All right, I got one guy's asked the same question like 30 times. I think I know the answer, and I appreciate you asking, Chris. Mark, why doesn't the Bassmaster Live online have a live viewer chat where the announcers and tourney pros can interact with the viewers? That's probably a good thing they don't. I'd probably get fired at my job, but
they used to have that.
I can remember that.
They had that.
You could do a chat.
They had it for like the first year or so. And granted, look, man, we still have. I mean, we don't have different from, and this does not answer that person's question. Is we don't have satellite trucks like at a golf event or a football event where you have flawless service the entire time. But the other side is when you're covering a tournament, things are moving fast. You've got as many cameras as you have out there to interact with fans and be actually calling and seeing the event, knowing what's going on. That's too. One of the things that I said when they had that viewer chat, there's too much going on here. There's too much.
Trust me, I've seen it tonight in the chat, and I try to be so good about getting everybody's question and interacting, but there's so much going on. And again, I have to apologize if we didn't answer your question or whatnot. It just makes it, it would calling what, it doesn't matter what sport it is. You have to, when I'm on the desk with Tommy, you have to really kind of put blinders. Heck, you have to put blinders on with each other at times just to stay on it, if that makes sense. So Yeah, perfect sense. We're gonna wrap it up here. All right, quick fire. Favorite Strike King lure?
It's hard not to say a coffee tube because I still live back. But dude, I throw it like I have structure jigs. The reason why, dude, I fish a jig. Back 90 years ago when I won Angler of the Year in the Ever Start series, I caught, I don't know, 300 pounds of bass. I caught 299 on a jig. I just live to jig fish.
It's funny you say that. Anytime I watch your show on YouTube, if I leave the YouTube on, the next episode that always plays is you and Kevin in the cold.
Yeah.
Throwing that football jig, just smashing green.
That was a good school of fish, dude.
Biggins.
Yeah. That was a good school of fish. I'd never been so nervous going into a shoot because the problem was with that. Vandy and we found those fish the day before, and it was supposed to get warm that night, and it was cold. It had been cold. It got warm, and I was scared that they'd break. But they stayed. I was on that lake. I took Taku to that lake the other day.
Dude, I bet that was a blast.
It was.
All right, quick one. Go to a rig for smallies.
Oh gosh, I used to throw. I throw all of them. I throw all of them. Hog Farmer. I like a Sniper Frenzy, a 7-wire, a lot. I throw when I'm in shallow water. I do throw the Strike King Titanium a lot. To me though, the main thing with that I will tell you and I've not shot many shows. I've shot one show doing this. Is a lot of people think of an umbrella rig for smallmouth. You're out there offshore. You're doing, Kevin, doing blah blah blah. Dude, Kevin, you said you like to throw a spinnerbait, burn a spinnerbait for smallies. There is nothing better on planet Earth than burning an umbrella rig in 2 to 5 foot of water on Earth as hard as they'll hit it. I do that, and it's one thing that I've a half dozen of us up here have held back. It is you can tangle with a 25 to 30 pound stringer often doing that.
So there's some juice I haven't heard before. I know some guys that burn a rig, but probably not as fast as you're talking about.
I mean, dude, I'm talking when
just
they bite it.
On it.
Yeah, when they bite it, you see everything happen on the surface. Yeah,
dude, that's wild.
And I mean, you just manhandle them too.
All right. So your thoughts on the Classic in Knoxville? I'm gonna tell you, I'll be there, Z. If I have to miss work, I'm gonna be there. I think it's gonna be wild. I think Matt Robertson. Listen to this. So this is a crazy theory. I've already told Matt this. Matt has the fur coat deal. I don't know if you follow Tennessee baseball.
I don't.
All right. Well, every time they hit a home run, guess what? The dude hits a home run. Fur coat. Marketing genius right here. I've got to get Matt hooked up with the baseball team, and they don their fur coats.
You need to do that. You know what I like about that Classic is, look, man, a lot of times, I'd love to see a Classic. Somebody asked me, the dude that asked about, a place where I've said this. I'd love to see a Classic on Lanier. A lot of the Classics we go to, there is a clear-cut one or two. You know this, Kevin. There is a clear-cut 1 or 2 man favorite to win every single Classic. The cool thing, it's not in this Classic.
No.
The cool thing about that Classic that time of year, that's a very, very level playing field as far as not a true favorite, and I like that. I do think Hackney will be a handful in that event.
Yep. I'm not going to bet against Matt Robertson on Tennessee River.
I like that.
Too much of my money.
Go on, boy. Go on now.
And I'll tell you this about Matt. I'm not just saying this. But if he gets skunked, beat up on a lake like he did the last time a Classic was there,
Right.
he's gonna come back and he'll have it
Yeah.
dialed. He'll figure it out. He's that good. But
You know, one thing about Matt is, and you know this. Look, Matt is a psychopath. I mean, he dude, he is a.
Dude, if
I've
you knew
said
how
it
many
on
times
Bassmaster
we would stand, like he would come visit me in the tackle shop and he'd talk for an hour or two. And dude, he'd literally stand out beside my truck and I'm trying to get away, and it's just like for 2 hours just.
Yes.
But he gave you the shirt off his back though.
He is one of the nicest. He's one of the nicest dudes I've ever had on Zona show. That I could only air probably 15% of what came out of his mouth.
I know.
I'm not. You know, I'm not.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like there would be things where I would go, "You can stop, Matt. You don't need to go any further."
I'll talk to him on the phone sometimes, and my wife should be like, "That's Matt, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's, "Oh, yeah, I can tell."
Yeah.
Like, she never
But
gets.
that dude can catch him. He can catch him. He is. And the other thing is now that he's getting a few years under his belt and getting looks at different lakes, Matt's going to be around a long time.
All right, so here's a question. We're going to sign off in like 5 minutes. We're going to pull Marlboro. I'm going to give you the sign off. Who is the next up and comer underrated angler on the Elite Series? Who's that name we really need to pay attention to?
Yeah. That's a broad stroke question.
I don't want you to pick any favorites. You can even name a couple guys like,
because I don't throw that very, I don't throw that very loosely. But man, it's really. I'm gonna throw a Captain Obvious. I'm gonna throw a Captain Obvious, Jay Shakurit, for what he did this year.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you, Cody Huff is going to be a superstar.
Cody Huff is an awesome dude. So when I was at the Classic at Gunnersville filming stuff for Mark, he just started talking to me. And and just talking about baits, and I'm like, I didn't want to rude. I was like, I barely know. He's like, dude, I watch your shit on YouTube all the time. I'm like, what?
Hell yeah.
And he's like, yeah, dude, you give some great info. Some of that stuff you need to not say. And I'm like, okay. But
Kevin,
great dude.
I know a lot. I know a lot about where Cody grew up, how he fishes. What I know what Cody does, and I know where he's powerful at. Cody Huff is going to be an all-around superstar in tournament fishing, hands down. I would put money on that.
All right, Zona, it's time.
It is time,
guys. It's time. I want to appreciate you guys for joining in. He's gave us extra time. Are you sure you want to do it?
But
you got a huge schedule.
After deer hunting, when I do get out of the blind, I'm all in. When I'm in the blind, I'm all in there. So there are many of those right up there. You know what I mean? Whoville.
Let's try to shoot for before the bass season begins, sometime after Christmas, around January. When we pimp out you get all them new Strike King baits, and I'll have stuff, and we'll get us a Zona spring fling on here, okay?
I'm all
guys, thank you guys so much for share the video, hit the like button. Zona, end it like the show.
2 words, we're done.
See you guys.